your broadcasting career, everything, Sheryl. Your podcasting, whatever you do, you're supposed to be elevating. But instead, you decided to show hate, very clear hate towards Caitlin Clark.
Did you really think you could spread falsehoods about Caitlin Clark for an entire year and keep your broadcasting position? That's the question no one had to ask Sheryl Swoopes, because the answer is clear. She's been officially removed from all WNBA broadcasts for the 2025 season.
You got fired? But it looked like you got fired, bro. It looked like she got fired. I just gotta keep it real. It looked like she got fired.
The dismissal isn't about just one poor opinion or a single mistake. It's the result of a deliberate campaign targeting the WNBA's rising star, and the league has finally had enough. Curious about what actually happened behind the scenes? In this video, we'll dive into the details of the situation, how she's handling the fallout, and why she ultimately lost her job. Ready to find out? Let's get into it.
I won't be missing you broadcasting the games, because when you broadcast the games, it was so hard for you to mention Caitlin Clark. How are you up there talking about, you kept mentioning, oh, the Indiana Fever are doing this. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell and the Indiana Fever. Oh, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and those girls are doing. Oh, you had such the hardest time mentioning Caitlin Clark's name. Why? I don't get it. I really don't know.
Did you know Sheryl Swoopes has a history of getting fired? Before the recent broadcasting controversy, she had already built a concerning track record that goes back years, while her Hall of Fame playing career earned her recognition as one of the WNBA's trailblazing stars. Her career after basketball has been marked by a recurring pattern of troubling behavior.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players. College coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
The warning signs were impossible to ignore at Loyola University in Chicago. In July 2016, Swoopes was let go as head coach after a mass exodus of players, something that should have set off major alarms for anyone thinking of hiring her again. What kind of coach loses 10 out of 12 returning players in just one season? That's not typical turnover. That's a full-blown crisis in your program.
That she mistreated players.
It was the environment she created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
Former Loyola player Kate Sohn didn't hold back when discussing Swoopes' coaching style. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean you're a great coach. She seems to thrive off drama wherever she goes. The drama is always there. Other players spoke about an emotionally unstable atmosphere, where Swoopes would cry during games and practices, threaten scholarships, and share personal details inappropriately. Being a great player doesn't guarantee success as a mentor, and Swoopes clearly shows how that disconnect can manifest.
Former Loyola basketball player Kate Sohn says Swoopes caused the players to live in fear, that she routinely threatened that they would lose their scholarships or she would cut them from the team.
It made it hard to play. It wasn't about working hard and having fun anymore. It was about surviving.
The situation with Lauren Hibbert stands out as particularly troubling. Hibbert claims Swoopes pressured her into signing a medical hardship form, which ended her athletic career, with the false assurance that she would stay on as a team manager. When Hibbert later found out she wouldn't even be traveling with the team, the sense of betrayal was complete. This manipulation led to formal complaints and ultimately played a role in Swoopes' dismissal. Fast forward to 2024, and we see the same dismissive and unsupportive behavior aimed at Caitlin Clark. During her infamous February appearance on Gil's Arena, Swoopes couldn't even get basic facts right. She wrongly stated Clark was in her 5th college season, when it was actually her 4th. She also claimed Clark took 40 shots per game, a gross exaggeration considering Clark averaged 22.7. These weren't mere mistakes. They seemed deliberately intended to downplay Clark's accomplishments.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
What was even more telling was Swoopes' dismissive tone when discussing Clark's record-breaking achievements. She remarked, "So is it truly a broken record? I don't know. I don't think so." When asked about Clark's potential in the WNBA, Swoopes bluntly stated, "Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not. Not going to happen." The disdain was unmistakable.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
These weren't isolated incidents, but part of a year-long campaign that revealed more about Swoopes than about Clark. The pattern is clear. When others succeed or challenge her authority, Swoopes responds with hostility rather than support. Whether it's college players transferring in droves or a rising star shattering records, Swoopes seems unable to celebrate others' success without feeling threatened. This toxic behavior eventually caught up with her at the Dallas Wings, where her commentary became too controversial even for a league that usually defends its legends. The consistent threads between her firing at Loyola and her removal from broadcasting paint a picture of someone who has never learned to adapt or grow from criticism. So, what really happened with Dallas last year?
And then obviously you guys remember last year when Dallas had to pretty much say, hey, you can't broadcast Indiana Fever game after the little comments and things you had the game before. Or something like that. Yeah, I believe it was that. And Nancy Lieberman was the one who pretty much confronted Sheryl Swoopes about the whole situation and let her know, like, hey, we got to keep it this, we got to keep it that. Keep it about basketball.
The Wings broadcast controversy wasn't just about Caitlin Clark. It was about Swoopes making enemies in all the wrong places. When basketball royalty starts publicly calling out one of their own, it's clear something major is happening behind the scenes. That's exactly what occurred when Swoopes found herself in the crosshairs of two of basketball's most influential figures, Stephen A. Smith and Nancy Lieberman.
You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Stephen A. Smith never hesitated to speak his mind. He didn't just disagree with Swoopes. He dismantled her credibility on national television. In one particularly harsh segment, Smith directly questioned her motives for consistently failing to recognize Caitlin Clark's contributions to the Indiana Fever's success. "Do you have any idea how that makes you look?" Smith challenged, his voice growing more intense. "How are you going to ignore Caitlin Clark?" What made Smith's rebuke so damaging wasn't just his massive platform, but his sharp insinuation that Swoopes' silence about Clark was intentional and unprofessional. Given her extensive basketball knowledge, her failure to acknowledge Clark's impact seemed impossible to justify.
I've known Sheryl since she was in college. I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that there was this quote by Sheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game.
Picking a fight with Stephen A. Smith was just the beginning of Swoopes' professional downfall. Nancy Lieberman, a broadcasting colleague and former friend, took things even further. After hearing Swoopes' comments about Caitlin Clark, Lieberman reportedly called Swoopes directly to confront her about the inaccuracies in her statements. That conversation clearly went badly. So badly that Lieberman later confirmed their relationship was essentially over. The fallout was swift and deeply embarrassing. In a twist almost too perfect for maximum humiliation, Lieberman ended up replacing Swoopes on the Dallas Wings broadcasts. This wasn't just a simple personnel change, it was a public declaration of who held credibility in basketball circles. Lieberman's willingness to challenge Swoopes and then take her job spoke volumes about just how far Swoopes had fallen professionally.
That's what Nancy was all about. She was keeping it very, hey, let's bring this women's game let's bring it all together. Let's grow this thing together. And the question was talking about how older people or older players in the league pretty much should going about what's going on in the league. And Nancy knows Caitlin Clark is the biggest. She's got the eyes. She's got the fans. Let's not try to sink it. Let's try to get on the boat with her. And let's grow the game.
These explosive confrontations didn't just damage Swoopes' reputation with fans. They shut her out within the professional basketball community. When heavyweights like Stephen A. Smith and Nancy Lieberman publicly challenge your integrity, networks and organizations take notice. For the Dallas Wings and their broadcast partner, these feuds likely confirmed what viewer complaints had already hinted at. Swoopes had become more of a liability than an asset to their brand. With all this baggage weighing her down, how will it affect Swoopes in the 2025 season?
Caitlin Clark just did something that no athlete has done since Michael Jordan.
Remember when Michael Jordan's name was pure marketing magic, turning every product he endorsed into a must-have item? Well, a new star is taking the sports world by storm, and she's just out of college. Caitlin Clark has signed a deal so revolutionary that it's making WNBA veterans break
Sheryl
out.
Swoopes just found out the hard way. You can't tear down rising stars and expect to stay on top. For the past year, Swoopes made it painfully clear how she felt about Caitlin Clark. From shady comments to flat-out falsehoods, she used her platform to downplay one of the biggest names in basketball, and now it looks like it finally caught up with her. Sheryl Swoopes has been officially removed from all WNBA broadcasts for the 2025 season. That's right, she got fired. Let's be honest, this wasn't some innocent slip-up. It wasn't just one bad take. This was a year-long campaign of jealousy and disrespect. Swoopes couldn't even bring herself to say Caitlin Clark's name during broadcasts. It was always Kelsey Mitchell and the Indiana Fever, or Aaliyah Boston and those girls. Never Caitlin. Why? What did Clark ever do besides break records and bring millions of new fans to the league? And this isn't Swoopes' first. Controversy. Back in 2016, she was fired from her head coaching job at Loyola University after 10 out of 12 players left the team in one season. That's not normal turnover, that's a crisis. Players said she created a toxic environment. She was accused of belittling them, threatening scholarships, and being emotionally unstable during games. One former player said, "It wasn't about playing anymore, it was about surviving." Fast forward to 2024, and she's showing that same toxic behavior in the media. On the Gills Arena podcast, she spread false claims about Caitlin, like saying Clark was in her 5th season, she wasn't, or that she takes 40 shots per game, she averaged 22.7. Then she questioned whether Clark's records even counted, saying they weren't legit because of an extra year due to COVID. These weren't harmless mistakes, they were personal jabs, repeated, deliberate, and bitter. And the WNBA clearly decided it had seen enough. At the end of the day, being a Hall of Famer doesn't give you a free pass to tear others down. Sheryl Swoopes had a chance to uplift the next generation, but instead, she chose hate, and it cost her everything. So no, I won't be missing her on the broadcasts. When you spend more energy tearing people down than building them up, eventually, that energy comes back to you. And this time, it came back loud and clear.